Hi everybody, welcome to American Literature 1. My name is Miss Whistler. I'll be teaching the course. I want to give you a little overview of what the course entails. But the first thing that you'll want to do is do your enrollment verification activity, because if you do not do your enrollment verification activity, you cannot access Unit 1 items. However, you can go ahead and preview the course by looking at the syllabus and by previewing due dates under major graded assignments. Under major graded assignments, there's a place if you would like to check plagiarism before submitting to make sure you have not plagiarized your assignment. There's also a guide for how to turn in some of your assignments and how to view feedback in the Turn It In feature. Now, if you see something and you can't find it, clicking close all and open all will help you find things, and then you can go up to your browser and hit find and type in the word or the name of the document you were looking for, just in case you run into an issue of trying to find things. Now, I have unit due dates. Okay, so if you'll notice Unit 1, okay, there's information here. Everything has the due dates already embedded, and these are for large final assignments. So you'll do weekly assignments that build up to the final assignment, so you'll need to keep up with the weeks. However, if you work swing shift or if you work EMS and you have 3 24-hour shifts in a week, there's not as much pressure to get that stuff done. Now, with that being said, we have an attendance policy that if you miss 2 weeks straight without any participation in the course and without contacting me with some medical or legal documentation, you will be automatically dropped from the course. So this is super important to remember. You must be in Moodle or in your assignments doing something, and there has to be proof at least once in a 2-week time frame. So the course runs, assignments run week to week. Everything should weeks end on Sunday night. So just make sure you're getting everything completed on Sunday nights. If you run into issues via, links not working and so forth, feel free to send me an email and I'll try to respond as quickly as I can, depending on where I am with Wi-Fi. But I recommend that most people Monday morning when the new week starts to go ahead and preview assignments, make sure the links work, you don't have any issues. And then if you do have questions or issues, attend my Thursday night meetings. Thursday nights from 8 to 9:30, 9-ish, depending on who participates. You go to this link and you click it, and with your NASH Gmail, you hit join, and that is where you can ask questions, get help, talk to some peers in the class, so forth. But this is my information. This is my email. This phone is my virtual office, so please don't call it like 3 o'clock in the morning because it'll ring because it goes to my cell phone. But feel free to call it, leave me a message. I get a transcript. That way, if I'm in class, I know to shoot you an email. Okay. If you would like your own appointment, however, please let me know and we can meet as your schedule and my schedule allows. If you would like some individual time to discuss some confusions that you have. Okay. The next thing is writing and research resources. This is an English 111 LibGuide. So it's everything that you learned in English 111 about writing and research. eSupport is who you want to email if you have trouble with Moodle or your Gmail. If you would like to reset your password, however, you can go to the NASH website and do that. And then this is information about tutoring. Most of the tutoring services that we offer are Smart Thinking, which is embedded under Quick Tips. So if you hit Smart Thinking, you're going to make an appointment with one of their tutors, or you can upload your piece of writing. It can be the weekly writing that you do, or it can be the major assignments that you do, and you can get either quick feedback or 24 to 48 hour feedback. So that's there and available for you. Now, in terms of how the grade is broken down, you will have a literature group. These are group activities. However, you have a group role that you participate in the group, and then you build on what other people say, and that is what you're graded on. So, for instance, if Jimmy does not participate or Beyonce doesn't participate this week, you do not. It does not hurt your grade. It only hurts Jimmy's. However, you are interdependent in that your ability to complete your assignments more effectively does depend upon people participating in the group, so that you get the depth that you need to understanding the literature. And so if there are holes in your thinking, I peek into every group and I make comments. So always check and take a look at, comments that I might have made. I usually make my comments at the end of the week to add on to things that you guys have said. Then there are assessments, which are 20%. You'll have about a quiz a week or every 2 weeks. And then you have big unit quizzes, which will be like 20 some questions with some short essays. And then you'll have 3 independent inquiry assignments. You're going to do a fact sheet, which that video will be shared, and you'll start thinking about that in a week or two. You're going to do a rhetorical analysis of a political essay or political speech or political text. And then you're going to make a speech at the end. And you're going to talk about and reflect on the position of certain areas in the United States in their relationship with their beginning, how they began. So this course covers from the time that Christopher Columbus landed to this is right at the Civil War. So those are things that you're going to want to know. Now, the group documents, and this link kind of gives the overview. So the group documents are done online. They are done in these documents. You'll need to go and sign up. A few people have signed up. Okay. And then you'll have certain group roles. You'll pick a different group role each week. If you have more than the group roles, then simply someone will do a group role twice. It's not hard to do. Okay. So there are several group roles that you are expected to do for your literature circle. Okay, so you'll need to make sure to read the directions carefully for those, because that is what you are being graded on. You are graded on your contribution to your group. So for instance, the first one is the summarizing stimulator. Okay, so you're going to basically give the overview of what you've read. If you have several things to read, sometimes you'll have 2 or 3 things to read. You'll just give a synthesis of all 3. So you'll say, this happened in this, but this was different because of this. Okay, so that question is, what is the author trying to say and why is it important? So tell me what the author said and try to synthesize it and tell me why it's important. Vocabulary verifier is when you look at the literature that you have and you're trying to figure out meaning. So you're looking for unusual words, repeated words. You're also looking for the literary words. So metaphor, simile, are those techniques being used in the literature. So you'll need to identify those places. Alliteration. So how does the author's diction advance the ideas and the purpose for writing? The next role is the critical connector. You're trying to find connections between what you read and the outside world. Okay, so this can be any historical events within that writer's time period. There might be connections to other writings. Okay, so if you notice connections between literature that we read, those are some things that you can point out. Okay, ancient analyzer is where you're looking for patterns or archetypes. So are there characters in the book or the text or the poem that remind you of someone from the Bible or from Greek and Roman culture? So those are going to be things that you're going to want to think about. And we'll be studying some of those concepts in this course. And there's your guiding question. How does the author use similar stories? Or how does that impact the writer's attitude towards the subject? And then you have discussion director, which is where you develop a series of questions. Now, all of these are blue links to items that you'll want to use as your group role. And then the last one is the video reporter, and you will do this on VoiceThread. So at the top of the weekly tasks, which you will see, you can subscribe to our VoiceThread class. It will look something like this, okay? And you will see you'll need to do course introductions. So you will see 2 comments that kind of help you. You will add your course introduction to this. You do not have to talk. You can talk if you would like, but it is a poem or a Mad Lib, I guess. So you type this up in a Word document and then you add it. Okay. All right. So how do you do that? You'll need to hover over it, and then there will be an edit button, and then you upload your document, and then you just hit add. Okay. All right. So that's the VoiceThread, the way you're going to introduce yourself. Okay. All right. You are currently watching the welcome video. All right. You'll take a look at the difference between myths, folk tales, and fairy tales, because what we're going to talk about the first 2 weeks are the Native Americans, because they were here first, and that is an integral part of our national identity, are these natives whose lives were disrupted. Okay, so You'll need to make sure to add yourself to a literature group. It doesn't matter. There are 3 groups. There is Plymouth, there's Jamestown, and there's Roanoke Island. Those are the 3 settlements that the Europeans created in America. There is an audiobook called The Truth About Stories. It'll take you about 35 minutes. He talks a little bit about the Native American oral tradition. I would listen, and take notes if you want, or if you're a really good auditory learner, just listen on your way to work or whatever. And then you're going to listen to a North Carolina Lumbee story. The Lumbee are allegedly the tribe that encountered the Roanoke Island group that came to North Carolina. Plymouth went to Massachusetts and Jamestown went to Virginia. Roanoke Island is the one that disappeared. And a lot of the folktale around that is that they were killed by the Native Americans. But there's the story and there is the text. And then in your literature groups, you are going to discuss the truth about stories and your literature groups. Okay? And your homework will be to start going ahead and defining that vocabulary using your glossary. Make sure you're learning it. Okay? And then you'll have some readings down below. Okay? All right, and there's an issue with this, but I will work it out because for some reason they did not. All right, these are supposed to go down here. There we go. All right, sorry about that, guys. I don't know why. I was having a lot of issues with my internet yesterday. So some of my changes did not save. Okay. All right, so that's the overview of the first week, but notice next week you've got things that you need to work on. This is an evolving document, so if I make changes, if you see something a little different on week 4 and it's week 2, it's because I, slowed us down or, got us caught up, in a way that made sense. And so that is all that. So now, in terms of our course, we will be using MLA format. Your required text is Norton Anthology of American Literature, and it is the part 1. Okay, so you will be expected to use MLA documentation and standard academic written conventions. If it's been a while since you've had English 111 or 112, you'll want to explore that tab over here called Writing and Research Resources to familiarize yourselves. I will also put quick tips up here. There's an MLA essay sample. There's some tips about writing about literature. So all those things will be there and available for you. Okay, now the last thing that I want to bring up, I think I've touched on everything that we needed to do, is how to survive this class. Okay, so tip number 1, take advantage of opportunities in the class to pursue something that interests you. So for instance, when we do our first project, which is the mythology fact sheet, okay, if perhaps maybe you are Halohasaponi, you could use some Halohasaponi literature. If you have a strong Greek heritage, you could use some Greek mythology. If you're from, or your family is from, Kenya, if you're Kenyan and there's a strong folktale or mythology that you can use, then you can use that. So most of what we study in literature class is really the reason that you exist. Literature is rooted in social and psychological and anthropological processes. Literature is another way that we learn about ourselves as humans because these are records of what is going on with people in their time period. All right, there is a path that I've laid out with you. Okay. I would not wander from that path. I give you that order for a reason. So the order that I've created is for a reason. Once you get comfortable in the class, then you might, instead of doing number 1, then 2, you might do 1, then 4, then come back to 2. But if you don't follow my path, at least the first couple weeks, you're going to feel lost. Tip 3, at some point in class, you might feel frustrated, confused, offended, angry, upset, uncomfortable. Okay. Just know that your study of other points of view do not invalidate your personal values. Okay. Many times, viewing other people's points of view can help you appreciate or understand yourself more clearly. Okay. So we're going to be talking about sensitive subjects like slavery, the treatment of Native Americans, European supremacy. So those are all things that are very uncomfortable to talk about, but we're going to do it in the most respectful way that we can through the lenses of the literature. So we are transporting ourselves back to that time period. So we will need to be open-minded in the sense that we need to understand when they were living and how they were living in the world in which they existed. And then tip 4, every decision made in the course is for your benefit. Each assignment, each activity is chosen with each type of learner in mind so that the auditory people have a chance, the kinesthetic people, the read-write people, and the visual people. So I incorporate all of that into the course, okay? So this also incorporates the skills needed to be ready for academic rigor at your four-year university or your future career. So understanding other people's perspectives, being able to read deeply into a text, being able to infer and reach conclusions. These are all things that not only benefit you when you go to university, but it will also benefit you in your career when you're bombarded with, and it might not always be reading, but when you're bombarded with information. So really this class is about taking a bunch of information and a bunch of points of view and synthesizing it in order to understand the time period. So I encourage you to be very open-minded, ask lots of questions. I hope to see some of you guys on Thursday. I've changed this. It says Tuesday, but it is Thursday. I've changed this several times too. But regardless, I hope to see you guys Thursday at around 8 on here. So again, you just click this link and you follow it in and you hit join. And you can come in and ask questions. It's not mandatory. It is open office hours. So imagine it's just like walking into my office on campus to ask a question. That's what it is. So you can come, you can stay, you can come, you can ask your question, and then you can zip right on out. So if you have questions, I hope to see you then. And I enjoy getting to know everyone in the class this semester.